I want to begin by telling you who I am and why I'm here. I became involved in Colostrum because of an incredible spiritual journey that began many, many years ago. And I'd like to begin by saying that I was newly returned from Vietnam. I was suffering from PTSD. I'm an ex-helicopter pilot in the Marines, and I'd had a kind of a rough go, and I thought life was a little weird. And one day, out of an inspiration, I was virtually driven, to go to a tennis club, private club that I'd belonged to for many years and hadn't been to and didn't care about, and thought they were kind of stuffy and the last place I wanted to be. But I had an old Marine friend of mine call me up and he says, "Come on, Doug, let's go out and get a hamburger and chat." And so I did. And I was sitting in this restaurant, and along came the most beautiful lady that I'd ever seen in my life. And under my breath, I said, "There she is." I don't know why I said it. Didn't even know I said it. Out came this, and she heard me. She told me later, and I couldn't remember saying it. Within minutes, I was prized out of my seat, virtually. I felt like God had grabbed me by the scruff of my neck and drugged me over and plucked me down and sat me next to her, and she gave me the weirdest look, like, "What the heck are you doing? Would you please go away?" The last thing in the world she wanted to do for lunch on a Saturday afternoon was have me and come over and plop myself down next to her girlfriend and her. And I turned to her and I says, "I don't know why I have to tell you a story. It's coming out of my mouth. I can't stop it. There's something that's bubbling out." And I said, "I cannot resist this. I have to tell you why I'm here. It's not because I want to hit on you. I want to tell you something that is so vital that I know that I don't even know what you're going to react to this. You might throw me out the door. But I see you in my mind and my heart. I see you. I know you. I know you intimately. I've known you forever." She says, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "I see you dancing with me. I see you in an off-white dress. It's cut kind of funny. The hem's uneven." She says, "Oh, that's on the bias." I says, "That's something I didn't even know a definition of about women's clothing." There's Japanese lanterns, and it's outdoors, and it's beautiful, and the stars are out. There's a big band playing. It's very romantic. I'm massively in love. She's the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen. And there she is sitting again next to me. She says, she turned to me, and she went beet red. She just went livid. And she says, "Who put you up to this? How could you possibly know this? There's only two people in the whole world that know I've been dreaming about this all of my life. Ever since I was a little girl, I had these vivid dreams about dancing and the Japanese lanterns, and I can hear the music in my dream." And I said, "I know, that's me." And she says, "No, you couldn't do it. My brother or my mother are the only people in the world who know about this, period. Nobody else knows of you. They must have put you up to this. This is a practical joke, isn't it?" I said, "No, it isn't." I said, "I'm very serious. I don't know your brother. I don't know your mother. And I'm going to prove to you something." I said, "You have to come out to my car." Girlfriend, she looked at her girlfriend like, "You got to come with me. This guy's wacky, you know?" I says, "Come out to my car, please. I want to play you the music that you've been listening to in your mind and in your heart all your life." And I had, before I went to Vietnam, my very, very best friend was a newscaster in Salt Lake City, Utah, on CBS, and did the evening news. And he gave me an album that Frank Sinatra only cut 1,400 copies of. And he gave me that as a going away present before I went to Vietnam. And to save this very precious vinyl, I put it on a cassette disc. There's no such thing as CDs at this time in my life. So I'd been playing this music over and over and over again that day in my car. Rewinding it, and playing it, and rewinding it, and playing it. And I took her out, and I played this music for her, and she stood there, and the tears just rolled down her face. And she turned to me and says, "I can't handle any more of this. I have to leave." And I said, "I understand." That's a little overwhelming to me, too. And I got her phone number and made a date for the next day to have lunch with her personally. And she came, and she showed up, and we started comparing notes of all of this, and this was a past life. This was in fact, full to me, unsolicited past life regression that happened to me, and there she was. I didn't know why this was happening at the time. I honestly had no inkling where it was going to lead to. So Kay and I became an item. We eventually got married. I mean, we were inseparable. And as time went on, I found out that she was very sickly. She had a huge amount of health problems. And over investigation, finally, her mother had revealed that her medical doctor had taken highly radioactive cobalt and irradiated her thymus over and over and over again when she was an infant, because the thymus swells up when it gets busy. And they did this to 500,000 people in this country, and it killed them all. And Kay was one of the last survivors. And what was going on with her is that if she got a cold or flu virus, any kind of infection, it would turn into viral and then bacterial pneumonia. It would always progress, and then massive antibiotics. And I had this vivid, nightmare of her with antibiotics going up both arms, Cipromax, the most powerful antibiotic at the time, 10 days running, and kept changing veins, and the antibiotics destroying her veins over and over and over and over again, and the damn stuff down there killed her, and she was crying, and it was the most miserable I've ever seen anybody in my life. And she turned to me at the end of that time, and she says, "Doug, I can't do this ever again. I can't do this ever, 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 ever again. You have to tell me goodbye. The next infection I get, I won't survive it. And you have to let me go. You have to let me go." And I went to a meeting that morning, and I had a dear friend, a business associate, and he was an ND like you guys. But he studied in Europe. There were no NDs in the U.S. 25 years ago of consequence. There wasn't. Your schools and your certification didn't exist back then. And he turned to me, and it was a short conversation, and got into colostrum very quickly. He said, "Have you tried colostrum?" And I went, "Colostrum? I grew up on a ranch. This is the first food of life from the mother's breast. This is what imparts and transmits immunity. Without it, all of the animals except humans would die." I said, "I've watched the process of this with colts and calves. It is absolutely critical that they get this. They get the colostrum." And I said, I don't know why. It turned to me, and the light bulb went on. Just bingo. I have to get my hands on some of this, and he had some. And I took it home, and my mother's a world-class herbalist, nutritionist. And I tried that, Chinese medicine, acupuncture, Ayurvedic medicine. I tried everything with Kay. Nothing was going to restore her immune system, I thought. Nothing. And I brought the colostrum, and she won't take it. She was mad at me. I paid him $160 for a quarter pound of colostrum. It wasn't cheap. 4 or 5 times more expensive than what we sell our product colostrum for now, retail. And it wasn't as good, but he dried it in his kitchen, and he was tender with it, and it worked. It changed her life. But she wouldn't touch it initially. She wanted me to take it back. She was tired of my efforts to keep her alive. She didn't want to have one more letdown. She couldn't mentally and physically handle one more go-around of failure. And I left some abstracts laying around. One of them is about accelerated healing that had been published in a peer-reviewed journal. Colostrum accelerates the healing of wounds and injuries of all kinds, doesn't matter what it is. Vastly accelerates it. So I left this there, and I say a prayer in my heart, and I go out, and the next day, Kay went out for a walk and tripped and sprained her knee so bad she crawled home. After examination with the doctor, she comes back, and there's crutches and Velcro cast, and she can't stand this stuff, and she can't go to sleep. She turned to me, she says, "I'll take your dang medicine," because of her knee. She was in such much pain. 1 tablespoon of colostrum, went to bed. Next morning, she forgot all about this injury, forgot about the crutches that were laying on the other side of the bed, forgot all about this, walked in the kitchen, rubbing her eyes and looking for a cup of tea, and I said, "Kay, what?" Still asleep. "You're late." "Oh, wait!